Athletics is one of the most heavily drug-tested sports in the world. And depending on who you ask, that statement is either reassuring or hilarious. Because where there is intense testing, there are positive results. And where there are positive results, there are excuses. Not normal excuses. I'm talking about penis enlargement pills, spiked toothpaste, fake motorcycle crashes, and even drugged pigs. Some of these excuses actually worked. Most of them made everything much, much worse. So today, I'm going through the worst doping excuses in sports history, rating them not on morality, but on how convincing, ridiculous, or career-ending they really were. Let's start with one that somehow worked. LaShawn Merritt is one of the greatest 400-meter runners of all time. World titles, Olympic golds, and a resume that puts him among the legends. But in 2010, retroactive testing from 2009 caught him with DHEA and pregnenolone, both banned substances. His explanation? Over-the-counter penis enlargement pills. Yes, really. Specifically, a product called Extenzi. And here's the unbelievable part. The excuse worked. His 2-year ban was reduced to 21 months, just short enough to allow him to return to elite competition. But the cost was public embarrassment forever. At the time, he said, "What I took, I am sure a lot of men out there take." No, LaShawn, no they don't. Effective excuse, painful reputation. A solid middle-tier result. Now let's move to an excuse that never had a chance. Dennis Mitchell was a world-class American sprinter who later became a highly respected coach. But in 1998, he tested positive for abnormally high testosterone. His defense? 5 bottles of beer and having sex with his wife 4 times. That is exactly how he explained it to a disciplinary panel. The problem is, alcohol actually lowers testosterone. So not only was the excuse absurd, it was scientifically backwards. This one didn't reduce his ban, didn't confuse anyone, and didn't even sound believable for 5 seconds. An all-time failure. Next up, we have a man who took excuses to a scientific level. Spanish discus thrower David Martinez tested positive for nandrolone in 1997. His defense was contaminated pork. But instead of stopping there, he decided to prove it. Martinez injected a pig with nandrolone every day for 6 months. Then he slaughtered it, ate the meat himself, and voluntarily requested another drug test. The result? Completely clean, which somehow made everything worse. The experiment failed to prove his case, the logic collapsed instantly, and he received a 2-year ban anyway. Still, you have to respect the commitment. He essentially invented one of the most reused excuses in sports history. Innovative, unhinged, historically important. Then there's Dieter Baumann, an Olympic champion who tested positive for nandrolone in 1999. His claim was that someone had been secretly spiking his toothpaste. To support this, he voluntarily tested himself multiple times per day. His results showed fluctuating nandrolone levels, always peaking right after brushing his teeth. Investigators actually found nandrolone in the toothpaste, but the concentrations didn't match what was showing up in his urine samples, strongly suggesting he was still doping while staging evidence. Brilliant idea, terrible execution. Now for one of the biggest collapses in Olympic history. Kostas Kantaris and Ekaterini Thanu were Greece's top sprint medal hopes heading into the 2004 Athens Olympics. The pressure was enormous. A day before the opening ceremony, both missed a drug test. Their solution? Fake a motorcycle accident. Fake injuries, fake witnesses, fake medical reports. Police found no crash site. Witness stories didn't line up. The scandal exploded instantly, and both athletes withdrew from the games before any verdict was even reached. They were banned, later faced criminal charges, and their careers were effectively over the moment the excuse left their mouths. Now let's talk about the most powerful excuse of all. Javier Sotomayor, the legendary Cuban high jumper and world record holder, tested positive for cocaine in 1999. Instead of denying it himself, the Cuban government stepped in. State newspapers blamed international sabotage, anti-Castro groups, and even the CIA. As the story grew, Fidel Castro personally intervened. The result? Sotomayor's ban was reduced. When your excuse involves global politics and a head of state, you win. End of discussion. One of the rare cases where an athlete actually escaped a ban belongs to Daniel Plaza. Plaza was an Olympic champion race walker who tested positive for nandrolone after the 1996 Spanish Championships. His defense was that the substance came from his pregnant wife. Believe it or not, medical experts testified that this was biologically plausible. He passed follow-up tests, appealed successfully, and had his ban overturned. Whether he doped or not is still debated, but officially, he walked away clean. Then we have pure nonsense. Paul Edwards, a former Olympic shot putter, tested positive multiple times and was banned for life. His rumored excuse was drinking an entire bottle of shampoo. Sometimes the story claimed it was to mask drugs. Other times, it was blamed for the drugs themselves. The details changed constantly, and there was never any evidence. Lifetime ban upheld. Case closed. Another creative but useless excuse came from French distance runner Fatima Eveline. In 2012, she tested positive for EPO and claimed that rainwater running over the road had mixed with medical waste and splashed onto her clothes during a race. Officials tested her shorts. She was banned. Great imagination, zero effectiveness. And finally, an honorable mention from modern time. At the 2023 Delhi Athletics Championships, anti-doping officers arrived to test athletes. In response, competitors simply didn't show up, ran away, or avoided testing altogether. One sprint final had only a single runner. If you never get tested, you never test positive. So what do all these stories tell us? If track athletes were smarter, they wouldn't need elaborate excuses at all. They'd switch sports, make more money, and avoid testing entirely.